giving general informations part, and also how later on the Indonesians collaborative researchers, and then our colleague from GST will be giving information how will the Japanese researchers be contributing in this joint call for proposal. These collaborations under BRIN and GST will focus on a research topic on the bioproductions, which area on the subtopics are represented here. The first one is the bioproduction of engineered protein or enzyme. Second, bioproduction of engineered metabolites. And third, bioproduction of engineered cell and tissues. This information will give you a brief guidance on topics which is going to be focusing on the collaborative research between the Indonesian researchers and the Japanese researchers. So we'll be focused on these three topics with the big topics on the bioproductions, which will be focusing on the comprehensive process of translating the fundamental research, such as insight from studies of three structural and biomolecular interactions, into efficient development and manufacturing of innovative biological products. This is the key point that we like to focus on these collaborations on this first call. And we like to inform you, this is the timeline. We already opened on the system ourselves from BRIN side and the GST on March 14th last week. And today we will give informations, and we will like to emphasize the deadline submissions of this proposal will be the 15th of May 2025 at 12 p.m. Indonesian time. Will be the Japanese side will be according, it's quite similar, right? So it will be the same time of the deadline. Please be considering, please remember the deadline. So if you like to starting to communicate with your collaborators, please do so. For example, from the Indonesian side, maybe starting from next week, we will be entering the Ramadan Idul Fitri long holiday. It will be a good start if you already start the communication with your counterpart. While this is the timeline until the review process will be May and July, the August will be the tentative result announcement. We're expecting the grant project will be starting on October 2025. This is the timeline that we're hoping that all candidates, all participants who would like to submit the proposal to be informed, to remind yourself on this deadline. And the eligibility of these more Indonesian researchers, the key point is that it's the two identical copies of proposals should be written in English and submitted to the GST, under via IRAD system. Later on, our colleague from GST will explain, and also to BRIN through the website pendanaan risnov brin.go.id. So the two identical copies should be proposed of the proposal should be written and submitted. So please make sure you follow this key point. One, for example, if either one proposal is not submitted, so it will be not eligible to be reviewed. So please make sure you follow these informations to make sure that those proposals submitted can move to other review. For the eligibility, Indonesian citizen is researchers affiliated with BRIN or other Indonesian research institutions, right? It can be university also, as long as registered in Sebaris. We have to make sure that your institution is registered in Sebaris, and the PI will be holding a PhD doctoral level. So we're going to endorse the engage of Japanese researchers and BRIN researchers. For example, for those for non-BRIN applicants. So we are engaging, we're hoping that you can engage the collaborators and BRIN researchers under this program. And the key point here, you have to have a relevant research track record of both PIs and your team, which is proven by a CV, which will be submitted. And it should have a very clear breakdown structures of what the plan of the research, how you collaborate the research, the future realizations on the outcome of the research. It should be made clear. And other things which sometimes will be forgotten is the approval from the authorized official from each institution. For example, submitted from university, the approval should be coming from the university. Those applicants from BRIN will be submitted and approved by your official, from your institution. And each team member, for example, from Indonesian side, should be registered under BRIN Pendanaan Risnop. Every member should be put the name and making sure that the name enlisted in the website will be same with the proposal. In our regulations, the policy here, the PI teams are allowed to be involved up to 2 proposals and these joint proposals, either as one as a PI and other one as a member, or both of them as a member in 2 proposals. We submitted a complete proposal, approval sheet, CV and PI team, and the budget plan there. There's a template for every document here. And the budget, since it's co-funding by both sides, Indonesian side will be provided by BRIN, will be giving a budget up to 1 million, they'll be included for analysis for BRIN under the ELSA and for researchers mobility under Directorate Management Talenta, meaning that every kind of, let's say, if you need visiting researchers or researchers mobility, you have to identify and put this part as this budget that you will be coming up to 5 projects. We will fund up to 5 projects, and it's going to be a 3 years research activities. And in Indonesia, since we're using the support from LPDPs, this is the eligible cost: consumable, personal cost of field of workers only, travel cost, bill for meetings, and a capital expenditure up to maximum 10% of the funding request. Same with the others. The ineligible cost is personal incentive or honor for the PI, co-PI, and other staff from your team, and expenses for organizing and hosting event outside the office or the respective institutions, for example, FKD in hotel, something like that. So expense for publication and international conference is still not eligible under this fund. The disbursement of mechanism will be transferred from the LPDP operational account to the recipient institutional account. Make sure you ask your institution, usually from University LPPM or from BRIN, is going to be Opala OR, and will be done based from proposal title. So we have to make sure it will be listed, yes, same, one by one. For example, let's say one university apply of couple title, we will give them basically one by one. And for example, the disbursement will be given if it's under 250 million, is 1 stage per period. If it's above 250 million, will be the proportion of the funding will be distributed 50% per stage, right? And we have to make sure that the remaining of misused fund and should be given back to LPDPs. The reporting and monitoring evaluation will be conducted during a monthly submitted by Indonesian PI through ERIS Pro LPDP. I think couples already understand from the RIM competitions. Monitoring evaluation will be conducted at the end of the project. The final report include research activity, output, achievement, BST, and so on will be given. Plan for the next year will be conducted every year. The expected output, make sure that you have a clear output. 2 international scientific journal articles submitted in the Q1 or quartile 2, or intellectual property with registered status. So please make in line. This is the expected output from this program. And for information, we will evaluate several criteria to make sure that we have the same understanding, the validity of research plan, the validity of exchange plan, if you have collaborations, mobility, the feasibility of implementations, given proposed plan, how you participate, the budget itself, how the facilities that you have, the synergies between international collaborations, how do you have historical collaboration with your Japanese counterpart, for example, expected scientific result on the joint research itself. It should be very clear, and the capability of the research leaders, meaning that the portfolio of the researchers and their team will be taken seriously for under considerations. We have to make sure that you have a very good portfolio and the consistency with the research field of the call, making sure that your study present before and the expected economic or social impact of this joint research. These 8 points will be given of the evaluating criteria to assess your proposal. And how do we apply this for the Indonesian researchers through the open data RISNOV? You go to that website and you can find their information, the descriptions, the eligibility, the timeline, and how you contact us. You can download or even sign there to make sure that you complete all mandatory field from registration proposal, such as all the detail about your proposal, all the indicator, budget, document, applicants, and the summary. So this is the way to make sure, because our administrative officer will review it based on the document that you submit on the system. Just to make sure, the last thing, we have to have a collaborative research agreement among all researchers. For example, this is what we are hoping on this joint call, a collaboration between researchers from Indonesia and researchers from Japan. Since we're dealing with also research activity, just make sure that you already submit an ethical clearance and foreign research permit. For example, if you have a collaboration, international foreign research to be joining your research activity in Indonesia, please make sure you fulfill all the requirements for the foreign research permit under the clearanceethic.go.id. And also the material transfer agreement, if you have some material that's needed, for example, sample exchange, and also the genetic resources and traditional knowledge, GTRK protections, making sure that the intellectual property right and management. And lastly, about this data and material management, this is a new wajib serah, wajib simpan, repository. We make sure you also follow the regulations there. We will put the template of this data material management plan. So making sure that this all data is being repositoried under the regulations of Indonesians. So I think that's any information that you need. You will be very happy to help you if you can just email us under the danarisnov@brin.go.id. Thank you very much.
On Japan's side, the international collaboration is implemented under the program called NEXUS. This is showing the top page of the NEXUS homepage. You can get call information from here. Please click the Japan-Indonesia joint call portion inside the red circle. In the next page, there are information on schedule and application guideline and forms and how to apply. In the schedule section, as marked in red circle, Japan side researchers have to submit applications via ERAD system. As for the timeline, as Asasa mentioned, please note that the deadline is the same timing between Japan and Indonesia. It is 2 p.m. in Japan time at noon in Indonesia time. And in the application guideline and the forms, you can download the files of application guideline and application forms, and 2 additional documents circled in red are for Japan side only. Below here in the how to apply, please read the yellow underlined sentence very carefully. Actually, this portion, Asa-san already explained, but in Japan side PI and the Indonesia side PI must prepare the identical proposal which they must then submit to Japan JST from Japan side PI and to BRIN from the Indonesia side PI, respectively. And both PI must assure that no difference in the contents of the proposal submitted to JST and BRIN. So please read this section very carefully. And this is the summary of this goal, as Asa-san explained. The research field, bioproduction, and subtopics. These portions are same as Indonesia, and different point is here in the red circle portion. For Japan side, funding per project is direct expense is 24 million yen for 3 years. And in addition to this, indirect expense, which is 30% of direct expense, will be added separately. So total funding per project is about 30 million yen for 3 years. This is about eligibility and notices. For Japan side, researchers affiliated with a domestic Japanese research institution is eligible to apply. There is no restriction on nationality, and Japanese applicants must have completed a research ethics training program in advance. And applicants from Japan side will apply via ERAD system. As for the ERAD system, to how to apply via ERAD system, please refer to the ERAD manual on the NEXUS website. This is also the same description Asa-san explained, but the same application form in English must be submitted to both JST and BRIN. And Japanese PI must also submit the Japanese application form appendix for Japan side PIs. Around 30% of total direct expenses will be used to exchange activities of young researchers. I'll explain a bit more about this. Regarding the budget description, in the application form, there are two budget charts in it. The first budget summary is total budget. And the next one, expenditure on exchange plan, is a part of total budget. So some people misunderstand the meaning of expenditure on exchange plan, but we like to ask to aim to allocate 30% of total budget for this. And this project will start from October, and Japanese fiscal year starts from April through March next year. So the fiscal year 2025 means October 2025 to March 2026. So for second half of fiscal year 2025. Also, likewise, fiscal year 2028 means April 2028 to September 2028, the first half of Japanese fiscal year 2028. So there are 4 rows in the chart, but the actual period is 3 years. Let me provide additional details about the composition of the research team. In Japan side, PI can appoint co-PI if necessary. The figure in the bottom is showing a typical Japan side team structure. The co-PI is a researcher who will be directly supported by JST and collaborates with PI in conducting the research project. The co-PI must be affiliated with a research institution in Japan. If a proposal is accepted, a research contract will be signed between JST and the research institution of PI and co-PI, respectively. Aside from the research agreement, as Asa-san explained, JST and a collaborative research agreement must be entered into among institutions with which collaborative submitting researchers are affiliated, including the Indonesia side team. I'll show you figure here. This figure is showing more detail of the typical Japan side team structure. Please note that a researcher who belongs to the same organization as a PI, these members are not PI nor co-PI. They are a research member or participants. Likewise, in the co-PI group, these members are not PI nor co-PI. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, a collaborative research agreement must be entered into among institutions which collaborating researchers are affiliated, including the Indonesia side team. And in order to implement actual research collaboration, JST like to ask the CRA, Collaborative Research Agreement, concluded at an early stage when starting the research. There are cautions for both Japan and Indonesia researchers, as I mentioned many times, but two identical copies of the proposal must be submitted to both Bulin and JST. Please note that the proposal received by Bulin and not submitted to JST and vice versa will automatically be considered ineligible. When submitting your application through both Bulin Pendanan system and JST ELAB system, you will also need to enter the same details online. So we advise you to submit your application at least 1 week before the deadline. That's all. That's the end of explanation from Japan side. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.